Have you ever wondered why you pull away when things get too close? Or why intimacy, even with someone you love, makes you feel like you are suffocating? Or maybe you've been called distant or cold in the past. Or maybe you were called emotionally unavailable. But deep down, you know it's not that simple. Because there is a part of you that wants closeness. But the moment someone gets too close, a wall comes up and it always feels automatic. In this video, we're going to talk about why avoidant attachment develops, where it really comes from, and how you can start to heal it, even if you've spent all your life believing you're just not the emotional type. My name is Luna A. May, and I'm a life and attachment style coach and author of books on attachment styles. What attachment style are you? And understanding and overcoming anxious attachment. And my mission is to help people understand their emotional patterns and reconnect with the secure, loving relationships they truly deserve. And today we are talking about avoidant attachment. And not just what it looks like in relationships, but where it starts. What actually wires a person to feel closeness and to shut down when things get too vulnerable. So let's start with the question, what is avoidant attachment? Avoidant attachment isn't a personality flaw. It's not about being cold or unfeeling or uninterested in people. It's a protective mechanism, a strategy your nervous system learned early on to keep you safe. And people with avoidant attachment often learned that closeness wasn't emotionally safe. And they've learned that in the childhood most of the time. That being vulnerable led to being criticized, rejected, or even just ignored. So instead, the body adapted. The heart adapted. You learned how to rely on yourself, how to soothe yourself, how to become emotionally self-sufficient. And all this not because it was healthy, but because there wasn't any other option that felt safe. So let's talk about the childhood now, because childhood is where avoidant attachment begins. I want to share a story with you. I once worked with a client named John, and he grew up in a household where emotional expression wasn't really welcome. If he cried, he was told to stop. If he showed anger, it was punished. If he was excited, he was told to calm down. So what did he learn from this? He learned that emotions were a problem, that being open got him nothing but disconnection or discomfort. So by the time John was in his 20s, he didn't even realize he was an avoidant person. He just thought he wasn't good in relationships. Every time someone tried to get close to him, he'd find a flaw, pull away, or suddenly feel like he needed space. This is how avoidant attachment is formed, not from being broken, but from learning that connection equals risk. And sometimes it's not even about trauma in the traditional sense. It's about emotional neglect. So if your caregivers weren't attuned to your feelings, if they didn't ask how you were or comfort you when you needed it, you may have unconsciously learned that emotions are inconvenient. Or maybe your caregivers provided for you practically, but not emotionally. This kind of behavior leads to emotional self-reliance. You don't ask for help. You downplay your needs. You keep your problems to yourself. And all this not because you want to suffer, of course, but because you genuinely don't believe anyone can hold space for you. And then one day, someone tries. They offer love, consistency, and suddenly you pull away. So let's now talk about common patterns that you may notice in your behavior. So you might feel uncomfortable when someone texts you too much or too emotionally. You might crave connection but dread commitment. You might prefer logic over emotion because it feels safer. Or you may end a relationship over small things only to later feel regret or confusion. And you may feel ashamed of it or even confused, like, why can't I just be normal in love? But here is the thing. There is nothing wrong with you. You just adapted. You protected yourself. And that protective strategy is still running, even though the danger it was designed for is no longer there. So why you might be an avoidant even if your childhood was fine? Because some people say, My childhood was good. Nothing had happened. And you have to know that avoidant attachment isn't always about obvious dysfunction. Sometimes it comes from subtle emotional misattunement. For example, parents who were kind but unavailable. Parents who listened but didn't really hear you. For example, I had a client called Lily, whose parents were very respectful. They gave her a lot of space, they encouraged her independence, but they rarely talked about emotions. She was praised for being so mature, so easy, so independent. And so she learned that to be loved, I must not need anything. And that belief followed her into every relationship. And every time someone tried to love her deeply, she felt like she was losing herself. Even small gestures, for example, a partner checking on her feelings, wanting to spend more time together, or expressing a desire to get closer, this kind of behaviors would trigger a sense of overwhelm in her. It was as if any real intimacy threatened her sense of independence. So she would start to feel trapped, even when the relationship was healthy. So she would pull away, creating distance, not because she didn't care, but because closeness activated a part of her nervous system that still believed love meant pressure or loss of control. So the question now is, can you change an avoidant attachment style? Yes, 1,000 times yes. Avoidant attachment isn't fixed. It's not who you are, it's what your nervous system learned to do. And what's been learned can be unlearned. Healing starts with self awareness by beginning to notice your patterns, your triggers, and your shutdown responses without judgment. You begin to rewire your relationship with vulnerability when you pause and ask yourself, what am I protecting myself from? Or what emotion am I avoiding? And of course, it often takes support like therapy, coaching, or safe relationships. All of these are powerful support tools because avoidant healing isn't just about being more emotional. It's about learning that closeness doesn't have to cost your autonomy. Somatic tools can also help. Breathwork, nervous system regulation practices, and journaling give your body new experiences of safety. Experiences where vulnerability doesn't equal danger. And then come the small moments that change everything. For example, telling the truth about what you feel, allowing someone to comfort you instead of brushing it off, staying in a conversation instead of walking away. Let me give you a few examples of what healing avoidant attachment might look like in everyday life. Not the big traumatic breakthroughs, but the small moments where you do something different, something slightly more open that you did before. So let's say someone checks in with you via text. In the past, you might have ignored it, felt pressure to say the right thing, or waited too long to reply. But now, what you do is you simply respond with something honest and simple like, thanks for checking on me. I'm feeling a bit off today. It's a small thing, but it's a real thing. And it's you letting someone in just a little. Or maybe you're in a conversation that feels emotionally heavy. Your default might be to change the subject or make a joke or even shut down completely. But this time you pause. You say something like, this is hard for me to talk about, but I want to try. That moment of truthfulness, even if it's messy or awkward, is healing. And in romantic relationships, you might have a partner who wants more closeness. So instead of disappearing or feeling trapped, you could respond with a boundary that keeps you engaged. Like, for example, I'd love to spend time together. Can we do something low key tonight so I can stay present? These are the real life moments where avoidant attachment begins to shift. They might seem small, even invisible to others, but inside your nervous system, you're changing the way you relate to closeness. You're no longer reacting automatically. You're choosing connection slowly and consciously. Each of these moments tells your brain and body closeness can be safe, and that is powerful. Healing looks like discomfort at first because your body is doing something it was trained not to do. But the discomfort is also evidence of growth. You don't need to become someone else to heal avoidant attachment. On the contrary, you need to become more yourself. The part of you that wants connection but never got to believe it could be safe. This is the path to secure love, not losing your independence, but learning how to stay open while still holding onto yourself. So, if you've ever wondered, why am I like this? Why do I run from love? Why can't I let anyone in? The answer isn't that you're broken. It's that you were doing your best to stay safe in a world that didn't always meet your emotional needs. But you can change that. You are worthy of love that feels safe, of relationships that hold you, not trap you, and of healing that doesn't rush you but meets you where you are. Thank you for being here, and let me know in the comments if this resonated with you or if you've noticed some of these patterns in yourself. I read every comment and I'm so grateful for the space we are building together. See you in the next video.